How are you doing?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can. What's going on? What's your take?
All right, cool. Oh, I was just checking in. Basically, as far as what you stated earlier with him as president not having security clearance, once you are president, you continue to have security clearance throughout. Once you are the president, from that point forth, you still receive security briefings. You are the presidential briefings, and you do have your clearance. You don't lose your clearance.
So Trump's was revoked. Trump's was revoked. Trump's was revoked. But even
security clearance was not revoked.
Yeah, it was. I can pull it up for you right now. But even if that were true, right, where you have a security clearance to view stuff, that doesn't give you permission to take documents wherever you want.
When you're president of the United States,
but he's not. He's not president anymore. And you can't just take documents wherever you want. You have to have a military escort.
You do not have to have a military escort, first of all.
Yes, you do. The military, your staff will handle the documents, hand it off to a military transport. The military transport will deal with it.
Especially for national defense classified documents.
Well, then explain to me this. With Biden as a senator...
Well, of course.
How? No, I'm not saying not of course or anything.
It's a typical deflection tactic. You guys can't address the charges against Donald Trump, so you have to obfuscate.
A question. It's not a deflection tactic.
Okay. What's your question?
He was a senator. He removed him from a skiff. He did not have the security clearance to have it to begin with, but yet he still had the top secret documents from.
We'll come back to that in a second. Right. You have to violate the elements of a crime. Okay, so right here, Biden, soon after he entered office, prohibited Trump from receiving intelligence briefings that are usually offered to former presidents because of what he described as Trump's cavalier handling of sensitive information. So this happened back like right after Donald Trump was revoked the ability to see classified information. Number two, what Donald Trump did and Joe Biden did, one is not good. The other is criminal and brazenly criminal. Joe Biden, number one, the handling of documents back when Joe Biden was a senator for that time frame, the 70s and 80s, not the same as they are now. Number two is that...
I don't disagree with you.
Right. Number two, they don't even know if this stuff is still classified. It's only classified because nobody knows if it's classified or not.
What about when he's vice president and it is classified and verified as classified and did not, and he wasn't entitled to it at that point either?
So you have to have what's called, there's two prongs to this, okay? You have to have done the act, meaning you take the documents from somewhere you can have them to somewhere you can't. And then B is that you retain them and knowingly retain them. There's no evidence that Joe Biden took those documents to his Delaware home or the Penn Center, or in the instance of the University of Delaware Library, he did intend, but he also handed them off to staffers to remove sensitive and classified material, of which they found 5 pieces of material that were classified that they didn't previously catch, right? So that's not on him, that's on his staffers. The stuff in his house, there's no evidence that there's no evidence that he knew he had it. It could have been misplaced by him. It could have been moved there by his staff. They don't know. But the problem is
that he knew that he had it in his desk. That's what you're trying to say.
No, it wasn't in his desk though, right? There's no ability to show that he knew that he was retaining them. There's no evidence. If he had found them in his desk, if they were like sitting on his desk and he was like mowing through them, that would indicate intent. What?
They were in his desk.
No, they weren't.
If you read the report, it actually
I did read the report.
I've read it multiple times. It's not there.
It says that they were located in his desk. They were located in the garage. They were located in the Penn Center. They were located in the...
Is he talking about notes? So classified material.
No, I'm not talking about the notebook. I'm talking about the actual classified documents.
There are no documents in his desk.
I'm talking about the notebooks that he had between him and President Obama. Which
I read the report. There was no evidence that there was stuff found in his desk. Classified materials or notes maybe, but not classified documents. You have to be able to substantiate to a jury that he knew that he had them, right?
I mean, you don't have to
think about it like...
I do understand the law, so I mean...
Okay, well just think about it.
You can know the president's...
I got it.
Take shit.
It's like this. If you turn over a piece of stolen property, right, to the cops, and you're like, oh, I found out it was stolen. Here you go, right? I found out it was stolen. Here you go. Then that doesn't indicate that you intended to retain stolen,
Correct.
you possess stolen shit, right? However, if you were like, oh, well, here's a stolen thing, and then you find a text message from this person that says, oh, actually, yeah, I know it's stolen. It was from 5 months ago. Then that would indicate that they intended to keep it, at least for that period of time. There's no
Right.
evidence that Joe Biden knew he had these documents in his possession.
But you do understand in the classified documents, you don't have to have intent. It's the mishandling of the document.
Yes, you do.
No, you
That's
have
why
to
the
have
charge
intent.
is willful retention.
And it's also mishandling of the documents, the classified
That's not the
documents
charge.
themselves. It's
No,
included in the charge.
You have
Where?
to. It's
Read the entire description of
it has
There
to
are
do
no
with
charges here.
it has to do. There's no charges in the thing. They investigated him predominantly for retention of national security documents. There was a couple of other things that they investigated him for sharing of state secrets, and they found no evidence that he intended to show any of that information off.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to the Trump's 88 charges. No deflection as far as that goes. So I was just asking the difference between the Biden and Trump as far as that goes. That's all it was doing. So
Yeah,
we
the
want
difference is the intent to take and the intent to retain. That's not established within the Hur report.
okay.
It's a weird
well,
comment.
Trump's also had Secret Service agents at Mar-a-Lago the entire time where the classified documents were at.
Doesn't
But
matter.
regardless of that, it doesn't
They
matter.
don't have clearance
I
to
agree
view or
with you. It
take them.
doesn't matter. That's fine. As far as the documents go, that's fine. But with the charges that he just went through in New York with Letitia James, how can you verify in any way, shape, form, or fashion that any law was violated? So I'll turn that around on you to where, 6 weeks ago they were saying that the property was worth $18 million.
No, they weren't.
And now they're turning around and the same people are saying that he can turn around and fire sell the property for $400 million. But yet
Yeah,
the judge
I don't know.
himself said that it was worth
The judge didn't say it was worth 18 million, dude. Donald Trump said
yes,
it was
he
worth
did.
18. No, the tax assessor of Palm County said it was 18 million, and this was in
The
27 and a half.
judge went on what the tax assessors, and we all have property here, I
The
assume.
judge pointed out
And
that the tax
everything is
assessor.
lower
No,
on the tax
please.
assessors. Everything is lower when you get the tax assessor. Everything.
Can you
is.
please listen? I think the thing that's most frustrating for me is that people come in here and they espouse all of the Trump rhetoric and propaganda.
I'm
that
not
he put.
saying.
Yes, you continue to cut me off, so I can't answer. Yeah, I know.
Okay, go ahead.
You guys come in here and you say the same stuff over and over again, and it's just not true. That's a lie that Donald Trump made up, that the judge said his property was worth 18 million. That's not true. Donald Trump was paying taxes on 18 million. So if he didn't think his property was 18 million, he should have probably paid more in taxes. But he got the appraisal from Palm County for $18 million and is paid, and there's adjusted every year. He's up to $27.5 million on that property. The judge never said the property was worth 18 or 27 million.
But that's the value that the judge went off of.
No, that's not the problem with the court case. The problem has nothing to do with that problem has nothing to do.
That the judge went off of.
No, the problem has nothing to do with Donald Trump and what he said his property was worth. That's not the problem.
There was zero fraud committed in that case.
Stop.
Explain to me where the fraud
talking.
was committed.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Thanks. Donald Trump has deed restrictions on Mar-a-Lago. Deed restrictions that are significant and do not allow you to do anything with the property. It will remain as Mar-a-Lago with the same building, the same carpet, the same shutters, the same chairs forever, because he signed it off with Palm County that it cannot be subdivided, it cannot be used as a single family residence, it can only be used as a club, and it has other significant deed restrictions.
It's
Donald
actually
Trump
zoned as commercial and residential. It's got a dual zoning. It's the only property in Palm Beach that has a dual zoning of residential and commercial.
It is
So
not.
that's an accurate
It is
statement.
not zoned as a single family residence.
It's zoned as
It is
residential
zoned as a
and
club
commercial.
it is zoned from a club. It is zoned as predominantly commercial property, but it has a special tax classification from Palm County because that was the agreement that they made with Donald Trump for him to buy the property, because otherwise the property would be too expensive tax-wise. So Donald Trump agreed that he could do nothing with the property, including turn it into a single family residence, subdivide it, whatever, anything. Can't change anything about the property. It has to remain original. And in benefit benefit for that, he gets a lower tax rate. He took that and paid that and knew those tax restrictions existed. And then he went to banks and did not list those tax restrictions or those deed restrictions. He represented it to the banks as being subdividable single family land that you can do whatever you want to on. And he got a higher valuation for it because of it.
As of right now, they're saying the property will sell for at minimum of $400 million.
I don't think so, but it doesn't matter because that's not what the argument is here. The argument
is they're saying that he overpriced, but the thing is the banks came in and did a second appraisal on all the properties.
No, they didn't.
And the banks agreed. Yes, they did. The banks agreed to the value. Every person, even the prosecution's witnesses, came forward and said that they
No, they didn't. Deutsche Bank did. I did. Ladder Capital was one of the banks that testified against Donald Trump and said that they relied on his personal guarantee and his statement of financial conditions to assess their loans, and they would not have worked with him if they knew the extent of the fraud that he was committing. That's what they said.
That is...
I will read it to you right now. It's okay.
Okay. No, I'll listen. I'm more than happy to listen to it.
The reason that Deutsche Bank, and the only reason that makes sense, is because the person that was issuing the loans from Deutsche Bank was a personal close friend of Jared Kushner. So they didn't want anything to do with it. But the other banks, and there are, I don't know how many dozens, they were defrauded, including insurance companies and tax fraud.
How are they defrauded?
I'll get to that in a second. Trump loan relied on his claimed net worth, Ladder Capital executive testifies. And you can go read it. His name is Derek McArdle, Senior Managing Director at Cushman & Wakefield. All right, here, 1 second. I'm trying to find his exact quotes. I think they go into Weisselman. But yeah, they do talk about it in here. And you can go through that. It's listed in it. Ladder Capital testified that they lost money and they would have charged him a higher rate. The only one that didn't was Deutsche.
Anything say they lost money, everybody was...
I just told you Ladder Financial did.
No, you said you were going to read it to me, and then you never did. I was waiting.
Okay, you want me to read like the quote from him?
Yeah, I want you to see where he said he lost money.
Sure. 1 second. It goes into Jack Weisselberg. 1 second. Why is it switching to Jack Weisselberg? 1 second. This is in between this thing. No, why did I pull up this? 1 second.
Yes, Ricky, Travis will believe the truth if I hear it.
Okay.
I'm just responding to the comment, not you. I apologize.
Okay.
And while you're looking that up, as far as anything else goes, when real estate value and a real estate appraisal goes, every house that I've ever sold, which I develop neighborhoods and have for years from the ground up, every time that I do my appraisal or my value, then the bank always sends out and does it, either a drive-by appraisal or they'll do an actual appraisal where they'll come into the home and verify the appraisal, and that's what the loan goes off of, whether it's a construction loan, whether it's a final purchase loan or the mortgage.
Literally,
and that's how it's always done. The bank has to do the final appraisal, and they have to agree. It
doesn't matter though. That doesn't matter. You can't lie on. You can't lie. It is a crime to lie on a financial document to a bank.
Do you often overinflate the sizes of these properties?
Sorry, I'm just pointing out they
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, buddy.
Do you often overinflate the sizes of these properties?
The sizes, the square footage? No.
Yes.
Well,
so why not?
It depends on ways to do it. You can do covered square feet, heated square feet. I mean, there's different ways to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like adding another 20,000 square footage to it. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you add a covered deck and say it's another 20,000 square feet, even though it's not heated. Yeah.
You didn't do that.
Well, okay. I'm curious as to where anybody at any point in time lost money, because everything that I watched through the entire trial.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, I mean, I explained it to you. You want a direct quote, but yes, corporations lost money because Donald Trump overrepresented the value of his companies or the value of his property to such an extent that corporations gave him banks gave him lower interest rates. He paid lower insurance rates because he was defrauding them by saying that the property was worth less and whatever else in other various ways. And then tax fraud by literally saying that his properties had depreciated, or in one instance, what's called a debt parking scheme, where he claimed that he owed money to a corporation that he owned, despite showing no evidence that that debt was ever done. Second.
Yeah, I'm willing to learn. I'm not just one-sided. So I mean, if you got something to come at me, I'm all ear. I really am
Second.
interested in it. I'm just saying that everything
Trying to
that I
find the
saw.
actual testimony for you.
Yeah, I'm just saying everything that I saw, and it may be misrepresented on my behalf, but from watching the case and watching the end of it and watching the bank representatives, they stated that they would all do business with them again. That they
What do I
all-
press
they-
to search a
they-
PDF, Jaden?
That they were sir,
Control F.
all happy with business. They would do business
his
with him
name.
again, and they considered him a great client.
You got to download it.
Even
Forget about
They
if
would continue to do
there
business.
was
with
not
him.
anyone who had, am I talking or not?
Yeah,
No, you
yeah,
are.
I can.
Even if there was not a loss, that does not mean he did not commit a crime. Just like to say, if you are speeding 130 miles an hour and you get pulled over, you committed a crime, but no one has a financial loss, yet you're still going to pay your restitution and fines.
That's two completely
Do you
different.
see the
scenarios.
difference? No, yes, it's two technical scenarios, but just because there is
you're
not a
committing
loss,
crime by
It's the
going
just
130 miles
because
per
there is
hour.
not a loss does not mean there's not a crime.
What happened?
I don't know.
I mean, in this case, there was a loss, but everybody keeps harping on, oh, there's no victim, there's no loss. Even if that were the case, that doesn't mean he didn't commit a crime.
I don't know why I can't get this to download. I'm trying to get the latter because I know Engoron wrote it
But
in
you-
his decision.
Right. I'll try to research it myself. As far as what did you say the name was to look under that you were talking
Ladder
about?
Capital testified.
Okay. I'll look at it myself and just see if I can find it as well. But as far as a speeding ticket and as far as a fraud case, those are two completely different scenarios that
You're,
You gotta
you're not
find
under. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
no,
You're not
I am
understanding what I'm
understanding
saying.
you're saying. One's
You
a
are
financial
held up.
loss and
You are
one's a
held up
criminal
on the
violation.
idea. Can you shut the up so I can clarify? You are held up on the idea that if there is no loss, that if there is no victim, that must mean there's not a crime, and that is not true.
Right.
That is the point I'm trying to make.
Like if you rob
There
a
actually
bank and you
does have
don't
to
make
be
out
a
of the bank
victim
with the
to
money,
commit
it's still a
The
crime.
victim is the state, sir.
The victim is not the state in a fraud case. I apologize, but that's just not how it works.
The
No, the
victim
victim is
in this case is the state because he broke the law in the state. Just the same as if you were pulled over for speeding and had to pay a fine, your victim is the state and you are paying the fine to the state. You understand?
Yeah, I understand, but it's you just stick with your scenario. That's fine.
Stick with my scenario, sir, is the law. I'm trying to dumb it down to make you understand.
You don't have to
But
dumb it
apparently
down.
that's not working either. Obviously we do because you don't even understand that part.
Actually, I do understand that part. I have a JD from the University
Then
of
if
Georgia,
you
so I do understand that part. Just because I developed neighborhoods doesn't mean that I didn't go to
Oh,
college.
you did?
Yes, I didn't. I have a Juris
You-
Doctorate from the University
Oh.
of Georgia, and I didn't take the bar. So yes,
Really?
yeah,
Really?
really.
Okay. What'd
And
you
I
get
don't
on your
have to throw
LSAT?
the F bomb or anything else to get my point across. I'm just
Cool.
stating
I don't
the
care what
facts,
you
and I'm
say.
telling
What,
him that I'm willing
sir,
to
what did you get
research.
on your LSAT? Sir, what'd you get on
I'm
your
telling
LSAT?
him that I'm willing to do my own research to go through and do
Sir?
this on my.
If you have a JD, what did you get on your LSAT?
5?
Can you answer, sir? If you have a JD, what did you get on your LSAT?
He's got to look it up. 6?
Yeah. Sir, when you're off app, we can tell that you're off app. I don't know if you know this or not. You know we can tell when you're off app to Google something, right, sir, Travis?
All right, so here's a testimony from this guy named McCarthy, who's an expert in his testimony. I didn't find the other one, but I did find one that's competing. Michael McCarthy. He is an expert witness in banking and capital markets. He's the chairman and CEO of an investment bank called M.M. Dillon and Company, where he works on debt, convertible, and equity transactions and mergers and acquisitions, yada yada. So he actually calculated the interest that Donald Trump saved by basically he would leverage. This is what he's claiming. He would leverage Deutsche Bank's offer, right? Because they had friends there. He had friends that worked there. He would leverage Deutsche Bank's offer and then take it to another bank. And McCarthy testified the defendant profited by paying a lower interest rate on 40 Wall Street Ladder Capital loan based on fraudulent SFC than the interest rate with a non-recourse loan. And then he compared the terms, and then existing Capital One non-recourse loan, then 40 Wall Street was subjected to before refinancing with the terms extended by Ladder Capital. This is the important part. McCarthy's calculations determined that Donald Trump improperly saved the following amounts of interest as a result of the banks relying on Donald Trump's fraudulent statement of financial condition and personal guarantee. One, $72,908 and $308 from, so $73 million from 2014 to 2022 on the Door loan, and two, $53,500,000 from 2015 to 2022 on the old post office loan, and three, $17,500,000 from 2014 to 2022 on the Chicago loan, and four, $25 million from 2015 to 2022 on the 40 Wall Street loan.
Okay. And it was 154. I was muted, so I didn't realize I was muted. But
Yeah, I really don't believe you.
I
How about
really
those
don't care
LSATs?
if you believe me or not. So that's the
Okay.
least.
Well, I'm sure your bar association would, considering it's a crime to claim that you're an attorney when you're not.
Did I say I was an attorney? I said
Thanks-
I had a Juris Doctorate.
thanks
and didn't
for pushing
take-
your-
Did you not listen
Why
to
would
that
you?
part
Why
of the
would you go
conversation?
through law school? Why would you go through law school
Why would you go through law school?
and not take the bar? Yes.
For a multitude of reasons.
Not to mention, if you actually did take your LSAT, you would have been able to pop your score off as soon as I asked the question.
He
because
muted
it's
me.
one of the huge things
I
that
did
you
not
remember.
realize that I was
Nobody muted you, sir. You went off app. You went off app to Google.
Okay,
Like
Kaylee.
we all saw it. My name's not
Kaylee.
Kaylee.
Well, whatever, Kaylee. What
Man,
it
nobody
says on
muted
your
you. I don't know
profile.
what you're talking about.
Well,
You went off app to
Katie.
Google it. Like, we
Okay.
literally all saw it.
So just to
And
clear-
if you were an attorney, you would understand the law that he
Did
wrote.
I ever once say that I was an
is-
attorney? I said I had a Juris Doctorate from the University of Georgia.
If you went to law school, you would understand the law he broke, sir. It's not rocket science. It's not even one of the
And
harder
that
laws
is-
to know how to work.
And you do understand that he's the one person since what, 18 whatever, and the only person in New York to be charged with that crime, and it happens
And that
every
has to do
single
with
day.
what?
no, it's
the-
been charged
the-
with other
that-
people.
And that has nothing
That has
to
n-
do with
It has
anything.
not. No one else has been charged with that crime that he
No,
was
there have
charged
been other people sued.
No
under
one
that
else is
crime.
that stupid.
Nobody else is that brazenly dumb to.
with. It happens every day in real estate.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
People don't commit.
All right.
I don't know what's a difficult concept about this. Okay, you cannot lie to the banks. Donald Trump lied to the banks. If anything, he got lucky because they could have charged him with felonies and they didn't. They instead came after him for the money that he stole over the course of his tenure. But I don't know what's difficult. This isn't a difficult concept. He wrote in his statement of financial condition, which is a statement to the bank, that he basically lied in it. Not even basically, he lied through the whole thing about everything, all of his
Yeah, he
properties,
didn't basically.
the restrictions
he
they
lied
had.
about the value of the
He
properties,
lied
yes.
about his properties
Right.
and the restrictions he had on them, the deed restrictions, the size of them, the list goes on, and he submitted
the
that to a
final
bank.
say of
That
the
in of it,
loan
but listen
is
for a
the
second.
bank.
Listen, it doesn't matter. That in of itself is a crime. If someone wrote on their statement of financial condition to a bank that I have this much money in saving, I have this much money in asset, I have that much money, and they turn it in and they got a house based off of that, it would be fraud. Even if the bank was like, oh, well, actually, they are making their payments. It does not matter, even though the banks aren't doing that. One bank did that, but the banks, in this instance, that would be fraud. You would have committed fraud, even if the bank was okay. If you scam someone, okay, in a way that is criminal and illegal, just because the person you scammed is oblivious to the scam, or they're happy or feel happy or don't feel wrong, does not mean that you did not commit fraud and scam them, and does not mean that you can't go to prison for it. No, you committed you
Okay.
conned them, even if they're not smart enough to know that they've been conned.
It's not a con, but what's the
That's not
difference
what
in
it's-
just a quick question? What's the difference in John Stewart saying
40
hip
on his
hop is
LSAT,
valuable-
Katie. What?
What'd you say? A 40?
Yeah,
No. What did you say?
35.
I said 152. I already answered twice.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Maybe.
Somebody said, Tanya said that she googled good good LSAT score and got 152 exactly. So yeah.
I mean, that's in a
Good
low
for you.
percent. I didn't know what the total score of
It's
the LSAT
actually
was.
not that high. 180 is high. 180 is the highest you can get. It ranges from 120 to 180. I don't know of anybody that's got as low as a 120 and still got into law school, but whatever. But 152 is
What
not
does
a great.
LSAT
Yeah,
stand
you
for?
didn't go to law school. Just stop. You didn't go. Just
Okay.
stop. You
Just
don't
What's
fucking
understand
Google me.
the
what's
concept of a
ad?
victim
Wait,
of crime.
let's do a
Doesn't
thing
matter.
here. Travis, what's mens
Sir,
rea?
what'd you
What's men,
what'd you
what's mens rea?
mens rea?
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
Post hoc?
Okay. So again,
Maybe.
you didn't go to law school. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Did you hear the John Stewart? I just asked a simple question between John Stewart valuing his home at 1.7
He
million.
didn't
selling
value it. It
at
doesn't. No,
17.2.
it's not the
That's
same.
all I'm
Stop.
asking
You're
the
you're
difference.
just saying. Here's the difference. You're just saying stuff because you heard it on TikTok from that
It's
dude.
not on TikTok. It's the
Yeah, it
reality.
is.
What?
It's all you guys are trying to say that John Stewart, because
He
he sold
sold.
his home for more than he bought it for, that he did the same thing Donald Trump did.
No,
No.
no, no. He
Listen,
went by the
please,
tax
please, I
appraised
need you to
value
do
of
me a solid, man. I need you to do me a
1.7.
solid and just listen. Just listen for a second, okay? Donald Trump lied about what his property was and said it's worth this much money, okay? He full blown lied. My property is this big. My property has no restrictions. My property is da da da. The problem is not that he took a property and went, here's all my restrictions, and I still think it's worth $700 million. That would be legal. That's not what he did. He literally took a property that has deed restrictions, did not list them, and then
I
represented the
agree with
property
you
as
on the
being worth
deed
hundreds of millions of
restrictions.
dollars.
I agree with you on the deed restrictions. I do agree
John
with you on
Stewart
that.
took his property and put it on the market, and it sold for 17 million or something, and he bought the house. He didn't
Right.
lie about what the
But
property was. He didn't say, "Oh, you
but
could
as
build a
you were saying
skyscraper here."
with him paying, the only thing I'm getting back with that is like you were saying that it was $18 million, and if he thought it was only worth it, if he thought it was worth more than 18, why was he only paying taxes on the 18? So he committed tax fraud. With John Stewart's is appraising at
No,
1.7 through the tax appraisers, how is he not
no,
committing tax
no.
fraud?
That's not. No,
It's-
that's not the tax fraud part. Is not what he pays for the tax. That's not the tax fraud part. No, you got
That's
that
what
wrong.
used as an example is what I'm
No,
asking.
no, he's not. The problem is
Something
not
is
that he was
only
paying.
worth what someone will pay for it,
Right. So he's
regardless
not.
of what it is.
Yeah, he's not taking his property. And the problem is not Donald Trump paying 18 or 27.5 million. That's on Palm County. That's them. That's their deal. They made that agreement. That's what they assessed at the property at. Okay. Donald
Right.
Trump paying 27.5 million, not a crime. The problem is that Donald Trump
I
would
knew that he made an
lie.
agreement because of the airport coming
The
across there, and I knew that he had some restrictions with the airport and the deed and everything. I knew that he had some stuff there, but I didn't know that he had that many restrictions against him, as you stated. I didn't
Okay.
know that he held all those restrictions, so
Right.
that
So
is new to
the
me.
the
Right.
tax fraud part is not that he was paying tax rates that the counties and the states gave him. The
Right.
problem is that he would lie on his taxes. This property depreciated, this property increased, this I lost this, that, and the other on this property, and this is a loss,
Right.
despite the fact that none of that was true. He lied in one. He has what's called a debt parking scheme, where he took his debt
Right.
that he said he owed to himself and wrote it off to the tune of $50 million
To his own
and has
company. Correct.
not
Yeah.
provided. Right. That's the type of tax fraud that we're talking about. Not that they
Okay.
assessed a lower value than the property was worth. That's typical.
I thought that's what you were saying as an example earlier, so I misunderstood you in that aspect. But as far as the tax fraud scheme, then yes, if with him saying that he owes his own corporation, yes. So I agree with you with that. So there, and Georgia, I don't really have a whole lot to say about Georgia because I don't know what the is going on there because it's just a whole cluster from the get go. So from both
Like a theory.
aspects, I mean, from the prosecution and the defense, I don't know what the hell's going on in Georgia. So I don't think anybody really does. So, but I mean, yeah, several of the indictments I don't disagree with. He should be held accountable. But there's a lot of the indictments that have been put forth that if he wasn't running for president, that you know as well as I do, none of them would have been brought forth. Do you agree with that?
That if he hadn't ran for president, none of them would come forth? Well, 3 of the charges are pre-president. One of them was done in commission of trying to make sure that he didn't look bad when he was running for president. So I would say that that's probably true. As far as the money, though, I think he would probably still get hit with that. And I think he would still get hit with that because there was an investigation in 2018, and it's pretty well known that this was the case. Maybe, I don't know. He just brought a lot of attention to himself and made a pretty, if you stir up attention, you should expect that if you have shit in your closet, it's going to come out.
Right. Yeah. Especially if they still have flesh on the skeletons.
So
The skeletons are hard to hide. All right. Well, y'all have a great night.
all right, take care.
All right. You too.